The story begins with a building that had long since been forgotten. Apartment Block D, once a modest housing complex, had been marked for demolition after years of decay. Its walls sagged with mold, the staircases creaked with the weight of time, and the power lines that fed it had been cut years ago. Yet, inside, there was still the faint smell of dust and iron, as though the place refused to surrender entirely. In November of 2021, a maintenance worker entered the condemned building. He claimed it was not curiosity that led him inside, but the sound, scratching, faint at first, then deliberate, as though someone, or something, was dragging their nails across the walls from the inside. The noise came from apartment 6C. When he broke open the rusted lock, the room was empty, except for a small CRT television on the floor, a VCR plugged into the wall with no visible power source. Inside, the player was a single tape. Its label was handwritten in thin black ink, NOV06.21. The tape has been watched only a handful of times. Each viewer swore they never wanted to see it again. The footage begins with the shaky hum of a camcorder. The screen flickers, showing a narrow hallway lit by a single overhead bulb. The tiles on the floor are cracked, their grout lined with dark stains. The timestamp in the corner reads 11:19 p.m., and the letters SP and TBC glow faintly, as though the tape is struggling to stabilize itself. At first, there is nothing unusual. The camera remains pointed down the hallway, unmoving. Then, almost too faint to notice, a figure begins to take shape at the far end. It stands still, pressed against the wall, its body wrapped tightly in what looks like a patterned shroud. Its face emerges slowly, pale and stretched, the eyes wide and reflecting the dim light. The expression is frozen somewhere between agony and a grin, a mask of horror that refuses to shift. The recording continues. Minutes pass, though nothing moves. The air seems to hum, like static bleeding into the real world. At 11:22 p.m., the figure is suddenly closer, not with a step, but with a jump. The camera doesn't move, yet the space between them has shortened. Its face is clearer now, and the mouth appears wider, though no sound comes from it. At 11:23 p.m., another flicker. The figure stands halfway down the hallway. The details of its body are still unclear, but its presence is undeniable, oppressive. The walls seem to bow around it, like the building itself is bending to contain the thing. By 11:24 p.m., the face fills the frame. The mouth is wide open now, unhinged inhumanly, stretching into a shape that suggests a scream or laughter. The only sound is a sudden sharp inhale that rattles through the tape's speakers. The screen crackles, the timestamp jitters, and then the tape cuts to black. A few seconds later, a final frame appears. The same hallway, now empty. The timestamp remains frozen in the corner, glowing faintly. No figure, no movement, nothing but silence. Yet beneath that silence, the tape continues to play. And if one listens carefully enough, there is still the sound of breathing, slow, deliberate, close. The worker who found the tape never returned to Apartment Block D. He handed it to local authorities, who eventually dismissed it as a hoax. But those who've seen it in private screenings say the breathing doesn't always stay in the tape. Sometimes, when the screen cuts to black, the sound lingers in the room with them, growing louder with every replay.